behave itself today. Hello, happy Wellbeing Wednesday. Hello to Facebook, hello to YouTube. Very nice to have your company today, back in the warmth of my kitchen. I was just saying to our friends on Instagram here, it's so nice to be back inside. Gosh, it's really turned cold. I'm down here in the West Country and there is a definite nip in the air. Also, a little bit of rain overnight, which I know for most people is not a great thing, but for gardeners, for farmers, yes, we did a bit of celebrating, a little bit of a rain dance going on. Anyway, happy Wellbeing Wednesday. Very nice to have you back. Hi there, Nikki. Hi, hello. I have got Lainey on Facebook today, so thank you, my love, for manning Facebook. Lainey will pop up all the links to the things that I talk about. So if you're brand new, if you're tuning in for the first time for Facebook or you're watching it on catch up, you are the lucky ones because you will get all the links live. If you're watching on YouTube, then you will also have as many links as we can get on the little YouTube post. But if you go to lizarwellbeing.com, you will find links to everything there. And of course for Instagram, you just have to go to my bio, which is a little round picture on the main kind of grid of Instagram. And if you click on that, there's a little blue line of text that says Linktree. And if you click on that, then that opens up a whole world of links. But generally, everything, fingers crossed, should be on lizarwellbeing.com. So all the podcasts, the articles, the special offers, there's a whole section now called Liz Loves. So those are the discount codes. There were so many lovely friends and brands have given us discounts over the year or plus that we've been doing these lives, and there are now so many and we want to keep track of them all. So if you want to check on any, whether it's coffee, chocolate, clothing, supplements, food, all sorts, fitness stuff, then it's all there. Talking of fitness, those of you who love Instep and have tried to get it, Julie, who is the great founder of Instep, it is coming back into stock any day. So we do a live Zoom fitness class using these really special resistance bands at 10 o'clock every Saturday morning. And when I first mentioned it a couple of months ago, it literally sold out like a flash. But she's now had a whole load on pre-order, and they're also selling really quickly. So just a word of warning, if you fancy that, if you fancy shaping up for the summer, if you want to get your resistance bands, they're not very expensive. I think they're normally £24. And we also have a discount if you put your Liz Loves code. I think it works out to about 11% off. But you have to really be pre-ordering that, I think, to secure yours if you want one. Right, well today, actually before we get going, I'm just going to finish my cup of coffee. I've been making a cup of coffee. And I'm going to treat myself to the top of the milk, because we've talked about this before, haven't we? About full fat milk being the real deal. Full fat, it kind of makes it sound bad, doesn't it? It's whole milk, hasn't been messed around with. And of course, the high fat milk, the whole milk if you like, has all the fat soluble vitamins. So if you are looking to get your vitamins A, your vitamin D, vitamin E, you're going to get more nutrients in the cream, so all the more reason to enjoy it. And I just love top of the milk and a cup of coffee. Who else is with me on that one? Right, well today, lots of chat about it being chilly. We're about to go somewhere very chilly on Instagram because I'm going to split the screen with another great British brand founder who I've really enjoyed talking to in the past, and I know that you love him too. So let us see whether we have Dr. Seaweed in the house. Yeah, we're heading all the way back up to Scotland. We've got a great Liz Loves deal. He's given us 20% off all his amazing supplements. We're going to be talking about that and more. Really good topic, I think, for a Wellbeing Wednesday, because we're going to be looking at seaweed in general and then some of the nutrients that are in seaweed specifically that can help with the metabolism and the skin and so much stuff. So let me see. Dr. Seaweed is there. Great. Let's hope this all works. I apologise, YouTube and Facebook, you can't see Dr. Seaweed, but you will be able to hear him. Fingers crossed. And as I always say, it's all about the content. Hi, hello Craig.
Hello. Oh, I'm so glad it worked. Panic
Yeah, it worked. I know, my kids fiddle around with my settings on stuff and then I can't get it to work. And honestly, they're a devil. They steal my iPad and then they load it with all these games and then nothing else works. And I try and use it and it's on like 0% battery. Do you have that issue?
I know it well. This is on my phone, which they're banned from touching. That's just not allowed. Any other devices.
Yeah, I totally agree. And in fact, mine have loaded a few things onto my phone. And now I've locked it, you know, with that face recognition. So what they do now is they get my phone and they just shove it in front of my face like this. And before I've had a chance to realise what they're doing, of course, they've unlocked the thing. Anyway, we're going to have a great chat about seaweed and the immune system and all of those fascinating things. Where are you talking to us today from?
So I'm in the northeast of England, so just south of Scotland, but not where the seaweed comes from, as I heard you reference in the Outer Hebrides. It first of all, not allowed at the moment, sadly, the restrictions, and I'm just not tough enough. It's getting warmer, so then I'll start to travel up. But the winter is a rare visit, beautiful as it is all year round.
Yeah, well, as my friends here know, it's so on my to-do list. I cannot wait.
Anytime. It's starting this time. Actually, May, June is fantastic, and then towards the end of the summer, in between's nice, but you get a lot of midges.
Do you?
Coming in the evening? Yeah, West Coast. It's just wet. It's wet, but perfect for seaweed growing.
Perfect for seaweed. So remind everybody of your journey with seaweed, because you've got this great brand, Weed and Wonderful. I first came across you. Actually, I've got some of your oils here, which I use for cooking. So you can see, this one I love. This is the smoked Scottish seaweed. You can see that I've been using that. And also the intense smoked.
Yeah.
Drops of this on my boiled egg. Every time I boil an egg, this is what I have. Love it.
It's fantastic. But really, we focus so much more now on the supplements because it's so much about wellness at the moment and health.
Yeah.
And seaweed, I got my background's a marine biologist, and that's where the doctor comes from in the Dr. Seaweed name. So I guess the journey was, I always wanted to work with something from the sea because that's what I spent a long time studying. But finding something that can not only be sustainable in terms of environmental sustainability, but genuinely offer people benefits with their health. Yeah. And seaweed just ticks so many boxes. Yeah. I met the guys up in the Hebrides, oh my God, about 15 years ago now. And then various other things, but started my company 6 years ago, and then we launched our brand about 3 years ago now. After doing a huge amount of research, we've got our own equipment up there for all the processing, the drying, the milling of the seaweed, which is key. So we're not just buying someone else's seaweed and putting in a capsule. Yeah. This is from our dedicated production.
And what I love about your seaweed is it's so pure, isn't it? Those waters are crystal clear. The seaweed is unbelievable quality. Why should we have it as a supplement, as a food supplement? What's seaweed good for?
So seaweed's a forgotten food. We all used to eat it in different cultures around the world, and it's just been forgotten, and it's so incredibly nutritious, primarily in ours for the iodine. And it was interesting, I was listening to talk about the milk before, or the whole milk. And milk and seafood, particularly white fish, are really the only sources of iodine in a normal diet. Yeah. Now, dairy's on decline. White fish is on decline with more oily fish, which is great. But in terms of iodine, all sorts of stats, wherever you look, point to the UK.
We're so low in iodine generally, aren't we, as a population?
Really bad. So basically, we've taken seaweed from the Outer Hebrides, we've put it into capsules, so there's nothing in there except 100% raw, organic Scottish seaweed.
Organic Scottish seaweed. So literally, I'm looking at the ingredients on the pack. You very rarely see this. Organic Hebridean Ascophyllum. Nodosum seaweed. Yeah. So I've totally mangled that. Powder. And nothing else. Nothing else. And then you've just got a organic vegan capsule shell. Yeah, you can have it if you're on Thyroxine, can't you? I know you've got lots of information on your website about that. Because it's a food, essentially. It is just powdered bits of seaweed in here.
Exactly. And that's what we want people to think of. It's just a food, put into a capsule for ease of use. I'll join you.
You've got one too. Oh, we've never done this before. Live on air, live swallowing of the capsule.
So as you
it smells of the sea. My goodness, you can really.
And the capsules, when you swallow it, you don't get that taste particularly. It's because seaweed is. some people love it, some people don't. And I think this is all about getting all that nutrition, because it's got lots in there, but the iodine's key, and iodine's essential for normal thyroid function and production of thyroid hormones.
And also for our metabolism. So if anybody, I know Jamie Oliver wrote actually a whole thing about weight loss, didn't he, and the benefits of seaweed, and in particular looking at the seaweed from you guys, from the Outer Hebrides.
Yeah, and we do a lot of research with Newcastle University Medical School on the weight loss, weight management, blood sugar management as well, which is down to the specific, I don't know how much you want to get into the science. But
get in the science. I love it.
Oh, yeah, we'll need another few hours. But it basically, what the research has shown is, as well as the iodine and the thyroid metabolism benefits, so basically there are lots of people who get great testimonials that they can try diets, they can try exercise, but if you're not getting the right nutrition, your metabolism doesn't work right, so you're not burning that energy. And then on the polyphenol side in the seaweed, what it does is it's been shown to inhibit certain enzymes, so it more slowly releases sugars to the blood. So it's analogous with a bowl of porridge versus a chocolate bar. So one's that sustained release, keeps you fuller. One is a slow release. So that seaweed, along with carbohydrates, bread, whatever, can help to sustain your sort of fullness, satiety for longer.
Yes. Oh my goodness, you are so talking our language, don't you think? I've talked a lot about low GI, watching the carbs, making sure that we don't get those peaks of insulin, which we know are just so damaging. So in terms of kind of insulin regulation then, is there potentially a role for seaweed?
There is, well, there's a lot of research on it, definitely, and we've done it, like I say, with the medical school at Newcastle University, where it's shown some real benefits. So what they do is they give people, they've got a human gut model, it's called, and they'll give the bread with the seaweed. So the bread's just the source of carbohydrate, and you compare it to just the bread on its own, and you see, in terms of GI, you see big differences.
Interesting. So if I was going to go out for, with my Italian friends and have a big pasta supper, which I do like occasionally, it's kind of my guilty pleasure, if I took a couple of capsules maybe before I went, do you think that would be a good plan?
Yeah, definitely. And, what we say is take them every day. They're in these blisters. This is genuinely I'm just going to rub my camera because it's looking a little bit blurred. Oh, that's better. There's basically each box, and we've got a different type we might come on to in a sec.
Yeah, definitely.
There's 60 capsules in a box. So with one a day, that's a 2-month supply. And what I do is I just keep it in my coffee mug in the morning, so that when you make a cup of coffee, you can just pop it out. It's great to take with breakfast because of that sort of glycemic response, as well as getting all that nutrition, the iodine to get your metabolism going. And as well, just so people aren't too scared about the iodine levels, there's 10,000 different types of seaweed in the world, and we've focused on one for all sorts of reasons, particularly the iodine. Each capsule has got about as much iodine as a portion of haddock. So it's a really good source, but it's not crazy high. We don't want people to think that it's dangerous.
It's just giving you that little bit that we need just to bring you kind of up to baseline, if you like. But interesting about those polyphenols, because that's what we're hearing about really with gut health and microbiome. And I could imagine that it's a bit like fertilizer. I mean, we know that seaweed makes amazing fertilizer on the land, don't we?
Yeah.
Can we be fertilizing our gut microbes, do you think, with a bit of ground seaweed?
Absolutely. And again, it's a lot of the research that's been done on the prebiotic benefits of seaweed. Yeah. So it's about 50-ish% dietary fibers in this seaweed. So there has been research done in animals and humans showing that the gut health benefits. Definitely.
I love it. I love it when something is multitasking like that.
I know. I sometimes worry it sounds too good, but it genuinely is. It is it's a true superfood. It really offers it. The iodine, the weight management we discussed, and potential that prebiotic benefit as well.
And also, I think it's the only truly sustainable food source, isn't it? Because it's natural, it's not intensively cultivated. It doesn't disrupt the environment in any way. You just take a bit here and there. It regrows, it regenerates. There's no fossil fuels involved in the cultivation of it. It's amazing stuff, really.
Yeah, and like I say, it's because it grows in the sea, it doesn't need fresh water, which is one of the big issues with agriculture on land. doesn't need fertilizer, as you know, and it doesn't need land by the nature of it being in the sea. So those are three of the big issues, sustainability issues with terrestrial farming.
Interesting.
And because we wild harvest, so the guys in the Hebrides, they've got these very strange looking boats. They're a bit like floating lawnmowers, which hopefully you'll get to drive when you come up.
I'm so on it, really. I want to be on a floating lawnmower.
And they just trim the top like you cut your lawn, so the majority of the plant is left in place.
Okay.
And they'll take this. We've done independent studies with the Scottish Association of Marine Science to look at the sustainability, and it's hugely sustainable. And remember, the Western Isles there have been harvesting seaweed forever, to put on land, as you mentioned, to go into all sorts of industries. So the sustainability is, my background being marine biology, it's really important part of what we do, as well as obviously the nutritional benefits.
Yeah, interesting. What do you think, just as a total aside, as a marine biologist, I haven't seen the film, was it Seaspiracy?
Conspiracy,
yeah. I mean, what's your view on that? Because I've seen so many conflicting reports. I need to watch it and make my own mind up, I think.
Well, I've watched about the first half, and then me and my wife have arguments sometimes if someone watches something on Netflix that the other one wanted to. So I now have to, she wants to watch it, so I have to wait to watch the rest together.
Yeah.
It's one of those lockdown domestics that you get to run into. But it's, for me, anything that raises the issues, I think there are things in there that could definitely be argued one way or another.
Right.
But for me, there's definitely huge issues with the way we fish and the way we exploit the oceans.
Yeah.
And so it raises awareness to that, and that's fantastic. On the flip of it is, I've heard lots of people say, I'm never eating seafood again. It's terrible. I feel awful. Now, nutritionally, that can be very dangerous. And going purely plant-based can be fantastic. Sustainability can be fantastic for your health. But particularly things like iodine, seaweed is the only plant-based or vegan natural source of iodine. So if you cut out fish and if you cut out dairy, or you even reduce it, you do put your health at quite serious risk because of that essential nature of thyroid, metabolism, cognitive health, nervous system, skin health.
Yeah, oh my goodness, skin and brain. I mean, you know, for me, it's all about responsible, sustainable fishing. You know, and particularly we're an island nation supporting our fishermen, and there is so much goodness out there, but it does have to be responsible and sustainable. So I will have to take a watch and then give my own view, I guess. And there's always an agenda. You have to remember there's always an agenda behind something. So.
Absolutely. And it's entertainment at the end of the day as well. So, you know, there's a balance for sure. But I'd say, you know, for me, it's about eating perhaps a bit less or knowing where it comes from, like, say, supporting local where you can. But being conscious of the nutritional aspects of it as well. And that's where, you know, where our seaweed comes from is so important. Because as you mentioned actually at the start, the pristine waters, all seaweed, all thousands of types, is essentially good. But if you go, for example, to the South China Sea, it's quite heavily polluted in places, and it will just absorb heavy metals, radiation, other contaminants. So you need to know where it comes from, and that's why
it's all about sustainability. It's about provenance, traceability. These are words that I use all the time, and about conscious eating, isn't it? And making a conscious decision as to what you're going to put into your body. What, you know, we only have one place to live, and that's our body. And so, you know, how are we going to help to nourish it and nurture it and just give it the best opportunity to thrive, especially with all the stresses of various kinds that we've got going on, you know, at the moment and ongoing. Which I guess leads me on to this other one, because you've got two supplements. So we've talked about the pure seaweed, which is just the seaweed. This is really interesting. This is the second one. So this is the immune support, which, you know, really, I guess is so important for now. It says natural and vegan again. So you've got natural source, you've got the iodine, you've got plant-based B12, so important. B12, oh my goodness, and vitamin D3. So that's really interesting, isn't it? This combination here.
And so what I'd say to differentiate for people watching, essentially, the pure seaweed one is 100% pure organic seaweed, as we discussed, particularly for that iodine source for thyroid health, cognitive health, metabolism, etc. The immunity plus is exactly the same, but so it's the same amount of seaweed in the capsule as well, plus this natural and plant-based source of vitamin D3 and vitamin B12. So the D3 it says on the side as well, like I say, it's just 3 ingredients. Yep. So you've got the seaweed, you've got the D3, which is from lichens, which are sort of, I don't have to go into that bit, like an algae. And then you've got the B12, which is from mushrooms. So again, all plant-based, all natural, and natural is critical to our brand as well.
I mean, they are food. I mean, what we're talking about, we're not talking about any synthetics. We're talking about foods, essentially, which I always think, food-based is the way to go. Now, with the D3, this is giving you, let me read on that, how many international units? 350?
It's 400, so it's 200% of the RDA of what's recommended, this 200% is what Public Health England recommend you have.
I take a lot more than that, I have to say. I've talked about that before. I mean, I'm taking probably about 6,000 international units a day. And I've got members of my family who don't process vitamin D very well, who are taking much more as well. So, so I would have no issues in adding this into anything else that I was taking.
Absolutely, and I think that's important because actually my dad takes them, my niece does, and they were low in vitamin D, especially through the winter, because obviously you get it from sunlight as well. So they were taking that plus the extra vitamin D. It's been in the news so much, but I think the point you make is good. You can take these along with it, and being that natural source and giving the B12, both the B12 and the D3 support immune health, which is why we added them, but they also support bone health and muscle health and lots of other things, and especially important if you're on plant-based diet or more flexitarian, because actually this natural source of D3, normally D3 naturally comes from animal sources, but this is from the lichens, which is quite a rare source. Normally then from plants it's D2, which a lot of research shows your body doesn't process as well. So getting that D3 source from a plant-based natural source helps to process.
Well, interestingly, I've been doing these Life Code GX nutritional DNA testing, which is so fascinating. And I gave the test to my parents for Christmas. And I went through my mum's test yesterday. And I hope she won't mind me revealing that, one of the things that she needs a bit more of is B12. Actually, because she's not processing it. So it's, when you have those genetic variations where you're not processing. So, even if you're taking a lot in, what matters is how you process it. So we know that we need to give a little bit more there, and certainly, with my daughter Delilah, who's been on here before talking about it, she blocks a lot of the processing pathways for vitamin D, which is why she has to take so much, and feels so much better for it. I mean, something so simple. That's what I love about these food supplements. They are, they're natural, they're safe, they're sustainable, and it's just all you've got really is the upside, isn't it? There's nothing to lose.
And you're absolutely right as well, because it's DNA, but it's also gut health. So there's work we're doing with Glasgow University Medical School, which is basically looking at how, and it happens very quickly, as you change your gut microbiome, you absorb things better. So there's this sort of idea that if it goes in the mouth, if you put 100% of the RDA of something in your mouth, no one absorbs 100% of anything. Otherwise, you'd never spend any time on the toilet. So, stuff passes through. So it's good to have more. And so, like the seaweed, for example, has around 230% of your RDA of iodine. The reason being that a lot of it's bound within the fibres, so it will pass through.
So you're not going to get
but nobody absorbs all of it. So it's crazy that you think, well, I'm getting 100% in my mouth, therefore it'll all, because it just doesn't happen that way. But so your microbiome will, as you say, in terms of absorption pathways, the type of bacteria that are there can influence how much you absorb of a particular nutrient as well.
That's so interesting. I hadn't connected seaweed really with microbiome health as well. I was very much thinking along the sugar regulation, the weight loss, the metabolism. But that's a really interesting added benefit that we're kind of feeding our little gut microbes in there as well. Yeah,
it's basically a really high fibre food and the right kind of fibres as well to help in terms of prebiotic, to then help the probiotics grow and develop. It's not a silver bullet, it's all part of a balanced diet.
Yeah, sure, you can't eat a load of rubbish and expect to swallow a few capsules and make up, but it can certainly help. And I have to say, this last year or more since doing these lives and learning more about different things that can help, you know, my health and that of my family has actually improved, you know, even despite all the stresses and strains of lockdown and all of that. It's been a real opportunity, I think, to refocus on some of the things that we might need, and going forward think about helping our immune system especially.
No, definitely. And so the reason we call this one Immunity Plus is because it offers the benefits of the seaweed, the iodine, the metabolism, etc., plus your immunity, plus your wider wellness. Because as you say, it's not just about taking vitamin D and thinking, great, everything's going to be fantastic. You've got to have wider wellness and the wider nutrition. So, you know, it depends what you want. Some people, the testimonials we get are brilliant.
Yeah, your website was great, actually. I was having a little snoop around it earlier. And just checking our discount code to make sure that worked before we talked about it. And it does. I'm super grateful.
It's...
Well, what's also really good is we get the double benefit there, because you've given us 20% of single products and subscriptions.
Yeah,
which is really generous. Thank you.
Thanks for having us on, and it's a great chance for people to try. And because what we want to do is basically the subscription anyway gives you 15% off of both the products, so you can choose whichever you want, the immunity and the pure seaweed.
Yeah.
But with Liz Loves, you get an extra 20% off.
That's amazing.
The already discounted. And just to be clear for people, you can cancel that at any time. So if they do subscribe, to get 15% plus 20% with your code, they can then still cancel after a month. 2 months is how long each box lasts, because it's one a day and it's 60 capsules. So they can get that huge discount, but they don't have to commit to any long contract. There's nothing in place like that, so they can cancel any time.
Well, I mean, that is great. That is really good news. I know there's a lot of chat going on now on the channels. I think a lot of people, myself included, will be taking up that offer, so thank you. And just to check, you've got lots of frequently asked questions on your website. You've got lots of resources. People can email, perhaps, can they, or chat on Instagram or Facebook?
Please, yes. Great. So it's all at Dr. Seaweed, spelled DOCTOR, Dr. Seaweed. And also every box has got these leaflets in.
So they have.
I've got, information about the research we do, my background, about how to get in touch. It is social media, email, phone, whatever.
I love that.
Interestingly, on this side, this little graph here, we're talking before about natural. What that shows is basically why the natural source of the iodine from the seaweed is so much better than artificial or synthetic. Ooh. And so Glasgow University did this work in the medical school, and they basically showed that when you were giving people potassium iodide, this synthetic source of iodine, versus the same amount of iodine from our seaweed, it was absorbed and excreted much more quickly from the artificial synthetic source. Whereas because in the seaweed it's bound within that food matrix, you get this slow release over time. So, you're almost getting a better bang for your buck. If you're taking something natural, you're actually getting to absorb that in a more sustained way, instead of just taking it and you just peeing it out, for want of a better phrase.
No, it's all about the bioavailability, isn't it, and the absorption. It doesn't matter what you swallow, but you've actually got to be absorbing it and having it do some good. Otherwise, you're just wasting your time.
And, and again, if you please people read the testimonials on the website, because the customers, I'm always going to say it's fantastic. I genuinely believe it, but it is our products. But people who've taken it and benefited from it, that's what's key. Yeah,
definitely. No, you've got a great community. Craig, it's lovely to have you back here. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for your generosity. We really appreciate it.
Good to speak to you.
And you. See you in Scotland.
I hope so. Take care.
Bye. I think you have to leave me, by the way, because otherwise I cut everybody off. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, my goodness. All so very, very interesting. Just looking at some of the information sheets here. Fascinating. What I love about that is, you can just have something so simple and that's, so trusted and well researched. I love talking to, PhD researchers, people who really know what they're talking about. They're not marketeers, okay? They didn't kind of start their careers by thinking, wonder how I can make some money. Oh, I know, I think I'll make a seaweed supplement. You've just got to really look at the authenticity and, you know, that's what I love about my job, is finding authentic, real people that can deliver products that make a difference and hopefully share the love with a bit of money off along the way. Okay, so where are we now? So yeah, a lot of chat going on about strong nutrients while we're on the subject of nutrition. So strong nutrients, I've actually been using this. This was from my lovely friend Zana Morris. This was the vanilla flavoured protein powder. So I add that into my shakes in the morning. I'm also taking her magnesium now, the Magnesium Rocks, which I really like, and the creatine powder. Actually, I didn't put creatine in my coffee this morning. I might just go and get a teaspoon, and I might just do that because we've got articles on the website. We've been looking at creatine for something called sarcopenia. Be back in a tick. And this is where we tend to lose muscle mass, particularly as we age, so really important for midlife women. And one of the things that's been shown to help is creatine. So if you are doing a little bit more exercise, that's what I do, just add that into my cup of coffee. Or tea, or you can put it in water or anything really. As you can see, I've been using that every day. I've been using this for a while now, and it's totally tasteless, so it doesn't taste of anything. And it just can really help. There's some very interesting research on creatine, and if you want to know a bit more about creatine, then you can see there's an article on lizearlewellbeing.com. Very nice. And of course the famous Amino Slim, which I know lots of you have got. She's sold out again. I'm sorry about that. I mean, it is really interesting. I did a YouTube video with Zana talking all about Amino Slim, and I do have it now every morning. I don't have it last thing at night because I tend to eat too late, and you need to take it on an empty stomach. So I have it first thing in the morning, and then I just try and do a little bit of exercise, even if it's just a walk with a bit of kind of power in the middle, because you need to get that high impact, or that high intensity rather than high impact, high intensity. So even just some squats in my bedroom, you know, I'll take this after about 20-30 minutes, you know, maybe when I get back from the school run or something, then I might just do a little bit of jumping up and down to get the kind of hormone release going that you need for this. So watch this space. I know lots of you are enjoying the Amino Slim as well. It's out of stock at the moment, but it is coming back. But I know that Zana has got all these other things, the protein powders, the magnesium and the creatine. So I do recommend them. They are things that I take genuinely every day. On the subject of things that I'm taking, just a quick shout out here. This was in recognition of Stress Awareness Month, and loads of you love Life Armour. So Life Armour is a different kind of thing. It's using adaptogenic herbs. So this is really for combating stress and helping with sleep. So these are the two that I've been using really throughout lockdown and beyond. The drops of slumber, which I take every night before bed, and the drops of balance, which I just take. You know, sometimes you just need to take the edge off something. So this has interesting adaptogenic herbs, and you just take them under the tongue. Tastes quite nice and pepperminty. And this one is the ashwagandha, which we've talked a lot about, plus other adaptogenic herbs. Take a look if you fancy it. Lovely female founder, British brand, Life Armour, and they have put together a special little bundle for us because they know that I love drops of slumber and drops of balance. So they've put these two together, and the really lovely super soft face mask for when you just need to chillax and do a bit of meditation or some deep breathing or some switch off time, or maybe you sleep in a room that's quite bright and you just need to take the light away. Then that is a really lovely bundle. So that is normally £69.50, and we get it for £55, that whole bundle. And that saves £14.50, but it expires on the 30th of April. Okay, so it is an offer that sadly will end soon, but you just need to use Liz Loves in capital letters at the checkout if you would like to grab that. One of the other things that's also expiring this Friday, which I probably should mention, is LBB Beauty. Been lots of chat about the hydration balm. My lovely friend Nena. Just love this. I have this all the time. I use it on my nails, my cuticles, little bits of dry skin, especially on my hands actually. My hands are so dry at the moment. I think because I've been combining gardening with a bit of washing up and all the rest of it, and hand sanitizing all the time. So anyway, we love Nena and we love LBB, another great British founder-led brand, but her offer code expires on Friday as well. So if you want to restock on your LBB, anything on that website, Liz Loves gets you 15% off. So grab it while you can. So, okay, so Fran, is that right? Says, where can you buy Holy Bush tea? I think that's Holy Basil tea. So this was yesterday. I was on this morning talking about hay fever remedies. And in fact, we had a big response to that. So I've put some features up on the Liz Earle Wellbeing website, all about natural remedies that can help with hay fever. And, you know, if you're like me, you may be a bit sneezy and snuffly at the moment. I get tree pollen, early onset hay fever with tree pollen. And the pollen count yesterday, unfortunately, for the southwest was high. If you want to check it out in your area, if you go to the Met Office, so just look up Met Office pollen count, and it breaks it down regionally, and you can see day by day. And you can also see its predictions for the week ahead. So if you're planning a trip out or whatever, you can see when the pollen is at its highest. I think it's gone down to medium today, probably because we've got a bit of rain, so that's kind of dampening everything down. But a couple of the things that I have put on the website to do with that, one was quercetin. And quercetin is this natural plant pigment, polyphenol, so you find it in the skins of red apples, which is why I was making my red apple. I called it my sneeze ease breakfast bowl, and that was the skin of red apple, well, the whole red apple actually, but including the skin, obviously grated, and I was using a British Braeburn variety, which is really tasty. It's quite a nice hard sort of fleshy apple. And so I used a grated apple, a little bit of lemon zest. That really gives it a bit of zing, and it also contains the bioflavonoids that are linked to the vitamin C, which you get in the zest and the pith of lemons. Again, helping with histamine. And I used a bit of kefir, obviously, got to use a bit of kefir, a bit of plain live yogurt. And when I was doing my research into that feature, I came across some really interesting studies on PubMed showing the use of lactobacillus bacteria. So again, coming back to our good gut bugs, lactobacillus in helping with allergic rhinitis. So actually helping with the reduction of mucus and with sneezes, itchy eyes, itchy noses, particularly in children. I think this one particular study was. So, you know, using plain live yogurt, kefir, with that lactobacillus beneficial bacteria can be really helpful. So I added that into my breakfast bowl, and I just sprinkled some nuts and seeds on the top. So I had that. But of course, the red-skinned apple, the main reason for having that, lots of prebiotic fibre and vitamin C as well, obviously, but quercetin. And you can get quercetin as a supplement. Interesting data on how it modulates our histamine response. So it doesn't actually block histamine. If you take antihistamines, they work against the body. They're just blocking the histamine. The way that some of the food supplements like quercetin work is they seem to modulate this T cell response. So it's quite complicated. So I have written about it, and my team and I have put a piece up on lizearlewellbeing.com if you want to take a look, because the things that we found, quercetin was really helpful. Reishi mushrooms, reishi, and that's reishi, reishi mushrooms, and you can find reishi mushrooms now in lots of different herb teas. You can find the actual supplements. I've got one in the cupboard. Let me just show you. Where is it? Have I got it here? Yeah, here we go. I got this one online. It's just a supplement. It actually just says reishi on it, reishi mushrooms. So that's got very interesting data, particularly relating to hay fever. So I'm taking that at the moment with quercetin. Haven't had to take antihistamines. This is the first year, must have been about 10 years, I haven't taken antihistamines. So very interesting, kind of working more holistically, I guess, with the way the body is responding to things and working with the immune response rather than just kind of whacking it and shutting the whole thing down, you know, hoping to support it perhaps in a slightly more holistic way. So reishi mushroom, quercetin, what was the other one? Oh yes, holy basil. Sorry, coming back to your original question, holy basil. So holy basil is so revered in Ayurvedic Indian medicine and in Hindu cultures that it's called holy because it's so special. and it has anti-inflammatory properties, and it has this histamine modulating effect as well. And it looks, I tried to get some holy basil for my piece on this morning. I couldn't actually find any fresh. I think I'm going to get some seeds and grow holy basil. In fact, I think I said this last year and then I didn't. It went out of my head. But okay, note to self, I will write it in one of my Earle Wellbeing notebooks. Holy basil, buy the seeds, because this is regular basil. So holy basil looks similar, but it's actually a different species. So the leaves are, unlike regular basil where it's very smooth, these have slightly furry sides to them and jagged edges and slightly furry stalks. So the stalk obviously on a basil plant is very smooth, whereas on a holy basil plant it's slightly furry, slightly hairy. And yeah, really interesting properties. So we've just put a piece online actually about it, about holy basil, and I found it in a tea. I'm going to have to go back to my cupboard again. I keep fishing out all these different things I want to show you. This will be the last thing I think that I show you. Here we go. Yeah, so I found it because holy basil is also known as Tulsi. So you may see it Tulsi, Tulsi. So that is a pucker tea. Do you see? Tulsi, Tulsi Clarity, and that's from pucker. And this has 3 different versions of the holy basil in it. And it tastes slightly aniseedy, which I really like. So I'm definitely going to start drinking holy basil because I shouldn't really be drinking coffee. So if we wind the tape back a bit to look at histamine and why we get coughs and sneezes and itchy eyes and all of that with hay fever, it's because it produces, the pollen comes into the body and our immune system is so heightened that it wrongly senses the pollen as an invading substance, and it needs to produce loads of histamine as an immune response to try and dampen down this really deadly, nasty pollen, which of course it isn't. So it's our body overreacting. So what we want to do is try and calm that response. So having foods that are low in histamine is really helpful, because what we don't want is lots and lots and lots of histamine. Now, unfortunately, anything that's fermented can be high in histamine. So tea, regular tea, black tea, is fermented. It's a leaf that's fermented. That's high in histamine. Coffee, slightly less so, but still relatively high in histamine. So, I think, listen, for me, I can cope with a little bit of sneezing. I've got my quercetin, I've got my reishi mushrooms, I'm drinking holy basil. I'm not going to give up the odd cup of coffee because I really like it. So I don't think you have to be totally puritanical about it, unless, of course, you have a histamine intolerance. So Lily, for example, with her autoimmune issues, she tries to avoid all histamine. So she won't have any form of tea, fermented tea or coffee. She drinks rooibos tea, have I said that right? Yeah, rooibos tea. And there are certain other really calming, low histamine teas that you can have, chamomile, for example, which is another really good one. So anyway, lots of information. We put lots of information up on the website about histamine generally. That's all to do with mast cell activation syndrome, a whole other topic. MCAS, so MCAS, it's sometimes shortened to, and I have done a podcast with Dr. Tina Pears, all about MCAS, and she's now working with UCL looking at MCAS and histamine in relation to long COVID and chronic fatigue syndrome and all of that. So yeah, lots of really good information. So if you're somebody who's affected by that, then do please check out drtinapears.com is also a very good website to look at. So before I go today, my goodness, it's gone really grey outside, really dark. I've just noticed it. I don't know if the lighting's changed on my little screens, but hopefully that means we're going to have a massive downpour of rain, which would be very good. Lottie on Instagram says, your makeup looks beautiful. What foundation do you use? Thank you very much. What did I use today? I used a Delilah foundation. That was, do you remember I did a tutorial with the lovely Rupert from Delilah, another great British founder-led brand. I must do another one with him, actually. We must get him back in the house, don't you think? Really enjoyed chatting with Rupert. And also my lip gloss. I know some of you have been asking about that too. I think, what's the name of the lip gloss? Can't remember it. It'll come back to me later. But we do have Delilah. It's Amelie. Amelie is the lip gloss. We have 20% off everything, by the way, on Delilah, which is quite handy. So that's on the single products, not their bundles and things, because they're already discounted. So that wouldn't be fair if, you know, if we had extra on that. But we do have 20% off. And so if you're interested in that. So Delilah, let me just check their website address for you. Delilah, they are delilahcosmetics.com. There you go. Really nice brand. Check them out if you are interested in looking at some nice new makeup bits and pieces. So, right, this is on the Zana Morris podcast. Lots of you have been leaving messages on iTunes and comments. This was on YouTube from Jackie. Hi Jackie, if you're watching again. Saying, I found this very interesting and informative. Would the high-fat diet work with intermittent fasting? I've just ordered Zana's book. Great, I'm thrilled to hear that. I'll have to tell Zana. So Zana wrote this great little book. It's called The High-Fat Diet. And absolutely, it works really well with intermittent fasting. Yeah, no question. So do highly recommend that. This was on the collagen chat. So if you were with me on Monday, I was chatting all about ingenious collagen. Wasn't that so interesting? Oh my goodness, if you've missed it, you do need to go and listen to that, especially if you want to take collagen. Because unfortunately, it would appear that there is only one type of collagen supplement, if you want to buy a supplement, that is actually going to have real, serious benefit. And that is the ingenious collagen, because of the way it's protected. And Papinder, the award-winning pharmacist, who is one of the co-founders, we had such a good chat. I thought it was so interesting. I'd love to have him back on actually to talk more. Just so, it's such a great brain, you know, and it's so nice to have a proper pharmacist in the house who can talk about contraindications and the safety of collagen and all the different benefits. It's very cautious though, wasn't he? He wouldn't be drawn. I was talking about the research that I've seen showing that collagen can be really helpful for arthritis. But no, you wouldn't go there, because that's a medical claim and they're not allowed to say that. But certainly, you know, I can say as a researcher, I've seen a lot of very interesting studies on that, and I will be doing a little bit more digging in that. I think we need to know a little bit more about that. So yeah, lots of evidence-based information. And so Garant's Serendipity, I hope I've said that correctly, you are on Instagram, has said, so impressed with Feel Ingenious, all evidence-based and clinical trials to back up their claims. Yeah, absolutely. Lots of information given too. Made me realise there's a lot of misinformation out there. Vegan subscription commenced, and the Liz Loves Code worked on that too. Thank you. Well, very interesting. Do let me know if you started to take the Ingenious Collagen. I've been taking it. I've upped my dose after talking to him. So I've actually gone into, and I'm on 6 capsules a day. So I took them first thing in the morning. So basically how I did my day, because I know that I get asked lots of questions about this, is first thing, I took my 6 capsules of collagen. So on a completely empty stomach, because I want to protect those little capsules. So there's no stomach churning that we talked about, nothing to start breaking them down. Although they're protected in their coating, I want to give them the best chance to get my skin and bones and hair and nails and everything looking really good. So I'm then thinking, okay, I'm visualizing these little collagen capsules. And of course, it's not just collagen, it's the hyaluronic acid and the astaxanthin that makes it so special. Anyway, I'm not going to bang on about that because we did that on Monday. You can rewatch that if you're interested. So I then wait about half an hour. And then, so I'm, brushing my teeth and getting the kids up and doing all that kind of stuff. Then I reckon, okay, I think those capsules have kind of, gone down far enough. I haven't eaten anything, just had a glass of water, nothing else. Then I have my Amino Slim. And the Amino Slim you want to have again on empty stomach, and you want to, if you're having it in the morning, what Zana says is you really need to do a bit of high intensity exercise about half an hour after that, if you can. So, you could be walking to work, for example, or you could be, doing just a little bit of stuff at home. It might be simple things, just like push-ups or squats. You don't need gym equipment, nothing like that. Maybe if you've got your Instep resistance bands, doing a bit of that. Just, 10, 12 minutes to get breathless so that your body is actually kind of starting to fire up. And that's, Zana explains, that's really when this amino acid, the L-ornithine, just kind of kicks in. So that's kind of my routine, and that's what I start with. I guess if you're somebody who eats early in the evening, because you mustn't have eaten anything for 2 hours beforehand. And for me, you know, I am a night owl. That showed up on my life code GX, my circadian rhythms. I know, I mean, I knew it before they even told me genetically, but I am a night owl. And I like to sit and, you know, watch a bit of TV or chat, you know, have a glass of wine, maybe a little piece of cheese or something, you know, later on in the evening. And for me, having an empty stomach for 2 hours before bed would be a very rare occurrence, I have to tell you, unless I was like going to bed at 2 in the morning. So for me, it works better. But if you're somebody who eats early in the evening and has that 2 hour gap before you go to bed, then by all means, you know, take them last thing, because as Perpinda was saying, actually, when you look at the way the body works, overnight, that's when the body's doing its repair work. So we know that it does all its cell repair and its DNA, you know, refurbishment and all of that stuff that goes on while we sleep. That's why sleep is so important. One of the reasons why sleep is so important. So yes, so again, I would do that, you know, in the same way. I would perhaps take the collagen first on an empty stomach, you know, let that get through, and then maybe have the Amino Slim last thing, and then just go to sleep. And the way that works is it works with the release of the growth hormone, and the growth hormones get released at night while we sleep. Anyway, sorry, it's all a bit complicated, isn't it? But hopefully you're keeping up, and there is more information. If you want to rewatch that stuff on collagen, then please rewatch the Instagram live, or it's on Facebook or YouTube from Monday. And anything with Zana Morris that I've done recently, podcasts, YouTube, you'll find it on there if you want to know a little bit more. And actually both of those great people are very active and knowledgeable on their websites. So they will often be on social media. You can direct message them, you can ask them questions, you can go onto their Instagram or their website pages and contact them. And I know Perpinda actually does do personal consultations as well, which is really good to know. Lorna on Instagram says, great collagen chat, very informative, ordered today using the Liz Loves code. You mentioned you like late night snacking. Do share some of these, please. Oh, I don't know whether I dare. I don't know if it's a healthy thing to encourage late night snacking. What do I snack on? I mean, I have to say it's mostly savoury things. So maybe cheese on a little bit of cracker, something like that. I try not to have chocolate, because although I love it, it does have the caffeine content, and that's more likely to keep me awake. So I try not to have chocolate or caffeine, anything caffeinated. So I've actually got a series of snacks on my Instagram. They've got these little circles on Instagram called highlights. I don't know whether you've seen those. And it's a feature of Instagram, and if you can kind of set them up. They're like little kind of chapters. And there's one there called 11s. And so a lot of my snacks, because I do like a snack, I pop on my 11s section. So there are some ideas, and maybe I'll rename it snacks, or 11s and snacks. Maybe I'll do that, okay? Just for you, so watch this space. Lots of chat about podcasts. Also on YouTube, Cindy Lou on YouTube. Hi, thanks for your comment. You say, love these great little short videos, jam-packed, full of great easy recipes, hints and tips, making a healthier lifestyle feel so attainable. Thanks, Cindy Lou. Very nice of you to leave me a message. Yeah, I've got a new little snack video that went live on YouTube yesterday that was making the homemade apple rings, which my kids love and really good to have as a snack. I use a bit of cinnamon with those because, again, cinnamon is shown to help regulate blood sugar for some of us, so that's a really good tip. And I've got new recipe videos going up all the time on YouTube, so if you haven't subscribed, please do. It's the Earle Wellbeing YouTube channel. I always subscribe to people I like watching on YouTube because there's so much out there, it's so confusing and it's just such a jungle, isn't it? But if you subscribe, then it just means that the things that you like come up to the top of your feed more quickly. And if you're a real fan, you can press the little bell symbol and that gives you a notification. So whenever we load something new, particularly if it's topical, you might want to watch it, you know, without too much of a delay. You get a little ding to tell you that we've just put something new up. So do go and take a look. So I am back with you live now on Friday. I'm going to have the Friday 5 podcast, which you are not going to want to miss because it's all about testosterone. Yeah, testosterone for women. So I cannot wait to share that with you. That's the podcast on Friday. I've also got the newsletter, of course, going out on Friday. I'm also going to revealing the new magazine. Ta-da! Really exciting. And I'm also going to do a special on YouTube tomorrow. I'm going to record a vlog, which will be on the YouTube channel, revealing the new magazine, showing a little bit of what's inside, some of the highlights and some of the new things that we've got coming up in May as well. We do still have great offers on magazine subscriptions, so if you want to subscribe, and we've got the gift subscription as well, where you get, I think, 2 issues free. So do check that all out if you would like it. We've also got the free set of notebooks. I showed you my notebooks earlier, colour coordinated, obviously, and that's with all my books that I'm signing at the moment. So my lovely yearbook 2, selling really fast, I have to say. It's not quite last orders, but it's looking that way. So if you don't have your yearbook 2, or you'd like to get one for somebody, maybe for, you know, even if you're thinking about Christmas or whatever, I do sign them all here and send them out from the farm. And at the moment we are doing the free set of little notepads as well that come with every order. I've also got the Good Gut Guide and the Good Menopause Guide that we are sending out from here. Or you can just buy these separately. They're £7.50 if you want a set of your notepads separately. That is it for today. Lovely to have you with me. Thank you for all the comments. I'm sorry we've got to stop. There is just always so much to say, but big hearts. This top is from Carol McEwen. I'll tag her on my Instagram. So yeah, I love it actually. I love that pretty sleeve, really nice. You know me, I like a kind of a slightly shorter sleeve, and I love the way she does those necklines is so good. And you can show off your jewellery, which I've got my Neroli. By the way, last call on Neroli as well if you want your discounted Neroli necklace. That finishes as well on Friday. You can find that on Liz Earle Jewellery, lizellejewellery.com, and you just use the code Neroli, because this is the Neroli flower, the little orange blossom flower, all in capitals, Neroli, and that gets you 25% off. Anyway, I'm going to go now. I'm going to finish my coffee, have a lovely rest of the day, and look forward to seeing you on Friday. Lots of love. Thanks for being with me. Bye.